going through. And so I am grateful for you being here. Just wanted to a few housekeeping things. You may already know this, but the bathrooms are right to your right behind you. Throughout the presentation, feel free and comfortable to go back and continue to get refreshments, because everything has been provided for you today. Everything that is here is because you're here. So please make availability to access and use that. Ms. Chantel is going to pass you out some notebooks that we have put together for you. These are your notebooks, so you can write in them and keep your notes with you as we're going along. I think it will be helpful for you. Vision coaching is a relatively new concept, but I think it's one that is critical that we jump hold to and understand and maximize. And everything that we want to do is to build you a purpose and maximize every piece of value that you have in your life, because you were created for a reason, a specific reason. I think it's interesting that Walt Disney and Jesus had something very common. Walt Disney and Jesus had something in common. And that thing was that they both knew their purpose. And they both knew who they were going to do it for and why they were going to do it and what they were looking to change and how that change was going to be significant in their life. And that is what we at Peak Vision Coaching is wanting to do for you. So at this time, we're going to ask for Bishop Smyer to come forth, and we're going to get started. As again, for coming today. Thank you.
Amen. We're excited just to be here. Just a brief moment, I would like to set a recorder. I like to try to track myself. It's very difficult to listen to yourself at times, but it's good to be able to edit ourselves. And so we're excited. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk about some different concepts that I think will help you maximize life and help you maximize some unique potential. One of the things about this concept is that when knowing who you are is an amazing, important piece. Knowing who you are is an amazing, important piece. And so what we want to do is we want to share some concepts, some ideas. I will tell you this, is that everything we're going to share with you today has been tested, it's been tried. It's something, it's a concept, it's a principle that we use, that we started off years ago using with our children, where we help them map their way through life. And the reality is, a lot of us grew up in situations where you had to figure it out on your own, and because of that, you had to spend a lot. It cost you more, it cost you time, it cost you your treasure, and a lot of times your talent was put on hold because you just could not figure it out. And so what we want to do in our handout, we're going to go through some simple process of steps. I wanted to open up and talk about, number one, is that understanding who you are, because you're so significant. You're so important in who God has called you to be. And one of the amazing things is that when you approach life and you approach it with a purpose, with an understanding of who you are, you'll be amazed at the accomplishments that you will accomplish. And so we wanted to open up and talk about significance, because I think that one of the things is that if you don't know that you're significant, it makes it very challenging to be successful. If you don't know that you're significant. And so I wanted to open up talking about your significance and how important that is, because if you don't know your significance, could you bring me one of the folders, please? If you don't know your significance, it's going to make it very challenging for you to be successful. Because when you understand how God has created you and how He has designed you, one of the things is that you understand is that your significance is amazingly important. So if you go to page 2, and just look at the outline there, one of the things, and I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence, but I think it's important that when you look at your significance,
and understand just how significant you are, I think it's important that, number one, that you understand that you're so important by God that He wants you to have attention. That's a flip, because most of us said, you shouldn't ask for attention. You should even. But the reality is that God wants you to have attention in the areas where He's gifted you and where He's assigned you. And so when you approach life from that perspective now, the first thing you're going to know is that you're going to begin to understand that you are important. You're important. You're so important that God brought you into this world to solve a particular problem. Interesting. And I like to say it this way: he who solves problems gets.
That's right.
Don't leave the ladies out. She who solves problems gets paid. All right? And so when you approach it from that perspective, then you come into this world understanding that, man, there is something significant about who I am, the diversity of who I am, and you have to appreciate your diversity. It's important that you appreciate your diversity. And so on page 3, we talk about the purpose and the power and the principle of knowing who you are. Wow. Of knowing who you are. The word purpose is the reason for which something exists or is done or is made. I've heard one person say it this way: it is the original intent of a thing. And when you tap into the original intent of who you are and who God has called you to be, it becomes unlimited to what God wants to do through you. All right? And so grabbing that concept, and I put a statement in, and I said, if you're not working with purpose, you're doing it wrong. If you're not working with your purpose, you're doing it wrong. And so I think that purpose is so important that you to understand who you are and develop and understand your purpose, that my whole mission statement is centered around helping people discover that concept. All right? The second thing I want to talk about is power. Power is the ability to cause or to prevent an action. And you notice the symbol I have there, it's like a plug. One of some of my background history is that I was a general contractor. So I understand buildings and concepts and all those things. And when you go into any building, even this building right now, it is not using all of the power that it has availability to. It will only use and allow you to access the power based on where you plug in. All right? And so there is power that is set and waiting on somebody to plug in and draw from. I don't remember the young lady's name here, but she said, I got a phone, can I plug up a phone? Yes, you can plug up your phone. And when she plugged up the phone, you hear that bleep, that sound, and it shows you a little signal, and it lets you know that it's charged. Understanding your purpose, man, is so important that when you look in the mirror and you're trying to find it, if you haven't found it yet, what you always will see is yourself. But when you find your purpose, the reflection now opens up and becomes a window. And it allows you to see the world in a totally different way. And so you want to be able to discover your purpose, because there's something on the other side of that mirror that God wants to display you to the world in, and you were created to solve a particular problem. Now, the third piece we put in there was the principle. When you look at the principle is really a law or rule that has to be. It's like the law of gravity. It has to be. I had a nephew of mine. He's very successful. He's doing very well in Verizon. He's traveling all the day, and he jumped out of a plane. Yeah, just jumped out of a perfectly good plane.
Perfectly good plane.
A perfectly good plane. He jumped out. And he had the camera, and he was falling, and he was just grinning in the camera and going on, and I called him up. Just tell me one thing. How does a person with a jump out of a perfectly good plane? And he said that he was trying to conquer his fear. I said, well, you have to jump out of a plane to conquer it. So my point is that your purpose is governed by principle in God's world. And it means that what he has called you to do, what he's assigned you to do, when you discover it, there's nothing that can stop you from accomplishing it. All right? Now, we transition now. There are going to be 5 questions we're going to talk about tonight. And anyone that is successful in this world is really successful because they can answer these 5 questions. All right? If you were to ask Jesus Christ these questions, he would answer. If you were to ask, we'd like to use Walt Disney, if you were to ask him if he was still living, he could answer these questions. He knew the answer. Anybody that's successful, Apple, any of those people that are successful can answer 5 questions. Number 1 is, and we're going to go through them all, but just to give you on the front side, number 1 is, who are you? You have to be able to answer the question as to who are you? The second question is, what is it that you love to do? What do you love to do? To discover your purpose, you have to answer these 5 questions. You have to know who I am. I have to know what it is that I love to do. What do you love to do? And if you're not doing it, what is it something that you would love to do? All right? The third question is, who do you do it for? Who do you do it for? The fourth question is, what is it that they really want or that they really need? Because it would be a shame to put a whole lot of time and effort in something, and that's not what a person wants. Got a funny story. I'll slide back to that in just a second. And then, of course, the fifth question is, when you get an opportunity to do what you love to do for the people that you really desire to do it for, and you're functioning in your purpose, you know who you are, you're doing what you love to do, you're doing it for the person that you want to do it for, you have to be able to identify what are the significant changes that takes place in that person's life when you do it. Does this make sense? Mm-hmm. So this is the concept now. So if you can answer those 5 questions, it literally means that you have discovered your purpose and you're able to flow in it, and you're going to have a greater success rate when you can answer those questions. All right? And so tonight, I want you to be able to leave. Before you leave tonight, I want you to be able to answer those questions. All right? We're going to take time. We're going to go through it detail, item by item. So, you as an individual have the potential to impact culture, wealth, and future generations. When you know who you are, you as an individual, you have the potential to impact culture, you can impact wealth, and you can impact future generations. You have that potential to do that. One of the most powerful things in the earth is an idea. An idea. And when you know the depthness of the idea that God has given you, an idea so that it won't die when you die. It'll outlive you. And you can't kill it. You can put it on hold, but you can't kill it. The third concept about who are you is you are a personality. Now I want you to write in that top line up at the top there at the sheet where it says, who are you? Write your name. On page 5. Write your name. Write your name there. All right? Now, understanding who you are is really understood best in how God has designed you. You are a tripartite being, which means you're a spirit, you possess a soul, and you live in a body. The problem is, the challenge is, when we come into the world, we live our lives backwards. We live it from the outside in. And the outside world controls you, tells you who you are, what you can do, what you will never do. That's what the outside world says things like you just like your dad. Your mom. Just like so-and-so. They say it in a negative. You just like so-and-so. You ain't gonna never be nothing. Outside world. And if you're not careful, that conversation will affect your personality. Now, so it's important now that we don't allow the outside world to dictate who we are. So, from an outside world, we see with our eyes, right? Physical world, I see with my eyes, I see you, I see you. But there is a soulish part of who I am that doesn't see with eyes. It sees with imagination. All right. Then there's another level of us that is a spirit part of who we are, and we see by faith. Now the challenge is, if I live my life from the outside in, it kills my faith. Not to mention what it does to my imagination. Because your imagination is a powerful source, but it needs to be governed from the inside rather than from the outside. Does that make sense? Your imagination can work for you and do some amazing things for you, but it has to be controlled by the right source. Your imagination is like a canvas. And you can write on it whatever you want to write. It don't cost you nothing. You can dream whatever you want to dream. It doesn't cost you nothing. You can go wherever you want to go. It don't cost you nothing. All right? And so you want to figure out, how can I make my imagination work for me? Because let's be honest. When we were younger or years ago, if we ever got in trouble, it was our imagination that took us down that road. So the same thing that messed you up can actually be the same thing that can bring you out. It just needs to be governed by another source. Is this making sense? And so what if, let me say this way. You ever been asleep and you dreaming you were falling? When you woke up, what was your body doing? Heart pounding, sweating, working as though you was really falling. If you're married, you woke them up. Right? But it made your body respond as though it was real. What if we was to use our imagination for something positive? Something good, a dream. And it causes our body to act as though it's real.
All right.
And your body starts working now for you.
All right.
And it's not a dream. I'm in control of this one. Does this make sense? So you things and you couldn't quite figure out how to make it happen, then you have to allow the imagination to go to work.
That's right.
If you ain't got no money, let your imagination go to work. You can try it. You can live things out and not even have to worry about making a mistake, because I can live it all the way out of my imagination. This is the challenge, though. You have to capture it on paper. And then make your vision work for you. Just making sense?
Yes. A lot of sense.
All right? So, it has three parts: self-idea, self-image, and self-esteem.